There are some lies in our science books. Taught it for 15 years. Even though I'm not teaching it anymore, I still like to study. It's so many neat things to learn. We're going to cover some of that tonight.
Perception is being managed. We are being steered and guided by a hidden hand.
The whole world has been duped by the media that is not real.
Smart thinking, possible time traveler, smart thinking.
That night, boom, contact memory.
And then just, Alex, if you don't agree, you'll be sent to a re-education camp.
Just because I'm old doesn't mean I've lost my touch with the ladies.
A lot of people here tonight feel like they lost. You know why?
Now, experts are suggesting that we're in a golden age of shape-shifting reptilian sightings. Now, why is that?
I was, and still am, a huge conspiracy guy. I literally ran out of new tin hat topics to research.
It was most definitely not capable of melting steel.
Then I would be a crackpot if I thought that was the case.
Thought that was the case.
Welcome to the Hypothetical Institute, a podcast about conspiracies.
My name is Luke.
I'm Salty.
I'm Cam. Hello, boys.
What's going on?
Not much. What's going on with you?
Same.
Same?
Yeah, same.
What are we talking?
Today we are going to be talking about the assassination of Abraham Lincoln and the extrajudicial execution of John Wilkes Booth.
Jeez.
Did either of them even happen?
Quite the oration just then, Cam.
But before we do that, we'd like to thank Tom, our $33 sponsor on Patreon. Thank you, Tom, for that, and thank you to all of our other Patreons. You can join them at patreon.com/hypothepod. Get yourself some sick buttons or pins, as well as exclusive content every week.
Exclusive content's good.
Yeah.
If you're not getting that for $3.
But right now, we're talking about the assassination of old honest Abe.
Was he honest?
Yeah. Why was he called that?
He was honest.
It's about everything.
Just famously honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, ass looks big in those pants. Jesus, Abe.
Well, wasn't that George Washington's thing that he cannot tell a lie?
I cannot tell a lie. I chopped down the apple tree.
Yeah.
That's a Sesame Street thing, isn't it?
No, I just know it from the Norm Macdonald stand-up bit. About it. It's like, how creepy is that? You cannot tell a lie?
I'm not sure why he was called Old Honest Abe. I think from some of the stuff I was looking at, he was quite blunt. When his wife, Mary Todd, got quite into spiritualism at one point. She had a seance at the house.
Yeah.
And apparently afterwards, he put up with a bit of seancing around the place just because it made her happy. But apparently after one, he took her up to the window and pointed at the asylum on the hill and said, let's cut this out. You don't want to end up in there. Which is very honest.
It's also, I don't know if I believe this, because it's really convenient that he's got a window that's looking at the asylum. Does anyone have a window looking at the asylum?
If you live near an asylum, yes.
If he was overly honest and overly blunt, would he these days be called Old Asperger's Abe?
Maybe.
So
we talked about him last week.
Yeah. And whether he was black or not.
Yeah.
Now we're going to talk about whether he's dead or not.
Yeah. He's probably dead by now if he wasn't dead then.
Well, that's what they want you to think.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So the assassination of Abraham Lincoln happened on April 14, 1865. He was assassinated by the well-known stage actor John Wilkes Booth.
Very well known.
Not as well known as his brother.
Yeah.
Apparently Lincoln was a huge fan, though.
He wasn't a fan of Lincoln.
Yeah, no, it was
obviously
it was a one-way fandom. Lincoln was a Booth stan, but didn't go both ways.
Yeah. So his dad was like the Shakespearean actor of all time, and then his brother came along, and I think his dad thought his brother was rubbish.
This is Edwin Booth.
Yeah. And he's like, you can't act. Like, he yelled at his brother because he wasn't good at doing a Shakespeare thing.
You can't act. You can sing, you can dance, but you're only a double threat of it.
Yeah. But then when the dad passed away, the the son had been honing his craft, and then suddenly became the number one. He surpassed his dad in Shakespeare.
Now that his dad wasn't there every day bagging him out.
Yeah.
Tearing down his self-confidence.
And then...
Did he kill his dad? Maybe he killed him.
No, maybe. It's another episode. But John Wilkes was also quite famous. I've heard him described as like the level of, say, a Drew Barrymore fame.
Oh, right.
Of the time. Brad Pitt, his brother, was described as of the time, that kind of fame.
So he'd be like the brother of Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
I was thinking of him as like a Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
With the River Phoenix brother.
Yeah.
You know, the more talented.
Yeah.
Is that fair? Was River Phoenix more talented than Joaquin?
No, I think he just died.
Yeah, I don't think we got a chance to really see River Phoenix shine.
Yeah. Yeah, so very famous actor. Yeah. So, like, I guess someone that most people, if not all people,
knew about within America. I guess.
But if, like, you know, say in Australia, if Alf from Home and Away murdered someone, you'd be like, oh, that's a bit much.
Yeah,
Stone the Crows, Alf.
Jesus.
I also thought maybe a bit of a Joaquin Phoenix in the sense that he was, you know, had the potential to be a Hollywood A-list heartthrob, and then he just started going on about the Confederacy.
Is that what?
No, Joaquin Phoenix went off the rails, didn't he?
Yeah.
For a bit.
Yeah, but
was he doing that for a bit, though?
Oh, yeah, were you saying for a bit as in for a while, or for a bit as in for a joke?
He was very committed to his I'm crazy bit, and then he put out a movie. He's like, oh, I wasn't really crazy, although was I?
James Woods, he's gone full on alt-right these days.
Right.
Which is probably about where Boothie is.
I heard someone talking the other day about Jim Carrey, and his whole thing about not giving a shit anymore was just him prepping for this show that he's on now.
Oh.
Kidding, which is about a really famous kid comedian who just decides that life's not worth living anymore and wants to do shows teaching kids about death and because nothing matters.
Becomes overly honest.
Yeah.
Like a certain politician we know.
Honest Abe.
Yeah.
So,
April 14, 1865, Our American Cousin is showing at Ford's Theatre in Washington, D.C. Apparently a very hilarious play.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Lincoln died laughing, they say. He died laughing. He was having a big laugh.
He died doing what he loved the best.
That's what John Wilkes waited for, a moment of big laughter to cover up the sound of the gunshot. And because he was a stage actor, he knew where it was going to land.
Yeah.
He waited.
He used all of his acting skill.
Yeah.
He's like, I know exactly which line will most amuse.
Yeah.
It's not like laughter covers up gunshot really well.
No, by all accounts, everyone heard it immediately.
Yeah.
It's a freaking gunshot.
Should have done it through like a Don Giovanni performance or something when all the fireworks and shit go off.
Yeah.
That would have been way more epic as well.
What an idiot. So
John Wilkes Booth goes to the theatre to kill Lincoln. He gets into the president's box, which is a special box at the Ford Theatre just for the president.
I think he rigged the door earlier so it couldn't be locked.
Oh, did he? Because he gets through by saying, "Oh, I'm here to. I just have a message."
Yeah, I thought he rigged it so that it could be jammed from the inside.
Yeah.
So that he'd go in there and lock it.
And
no one could get in.
Yeah, because he got there quite early to meet the lock, and then had to go wait in a pub for 4 hours.
But he went in. They let him through because it's John Wilkes Booth, the famous actor, not the most famous actor, but quite famous.
Hey, Wilksy. Heard your brother's doing good.
Yeah. So
that's like how Kanye just gets to go hang out with Trump, right?
Yeah.
I'm Kanye.
Yeah.
Kanye's going to murder Trump. You heard it here.
God, imagine.
So is Booth the
cut that if we think it's potentially liable?
Is Booth the Kanye of his day?
No, because Booth was pro. Booth was anti the president. Kanye's pro the president.
For now.
Fair point.
Anyway, he gets into the box. He locks it behind him. He puts a big stick through as part of the thing so it can't be opened from the outside.
And you want to go see... Yeah, you can see the president. Why have you got a stick, though?
Yeah. Hey, fine looking stick you got there, Booth.
Good stick work, Booth.
Hey, that gun's looking pretty good too.
Yeah.
Keep it up.
Then he shoots Lincoln in the back of the head, behind the ear.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he also there's a guy in there as well, Sayward. He stabs or he slashes.
No, Seward was another guy. It was like a senator or something that was in there. So Seward was the other guy that was part of the plot.
Yeah. He got stabbed by one of Booth's accomplices, but didn't die.
Yeah, we'll get into that further on, I think.
But someone else in the box gets stabbed.
Yeah.
And then he jumps from the box to the stage.
Yeah. If you wanted to do it silently, don't do that.
No.
The stage is where everyone's looking.
Yeah. 15 feet drop as well.
Yeah. Broke his leg.
Yep. But still, he's an actor.
Yeah.
Actor's going to act.
Yeah.
He delivers his famous line, possibly, sic semper tyrannis.
What does that mean?
I think it's Latin for like, as to all tyrants, or something like that.
Why did you build up that line and then not know what it means?
Oh, because I forgot.
Oh.
I've consumed so much Lincoln and...
Okay.
This was like the first thing I learned about. And it's like, they're not even sure if that's what he said. There's differing accounts.
Okay. He said 670s Tyrannas.
Yeah.
It was like telling the future of Australian cars.
Or it's like 6 Semper Tyrannosaurus.
Yeah.
Got this bloody lizard. Just sorted that out for you.
So he breaks his leg, yells out a sweet line.
Yeah. And then he runs out.
Yeah. Someone's waiting for him with a horse.
I think he had a horse waiting. Jumps on the horse.
Runs out on a broken leg and jumps on a horse with a broken leg. And what a man.
The horse has a broken leg?
No, he's like...
Oh, okay.
If you had a broken leg, I think it takes a lot of work from both your legs to get onto a horse.
Yeah, okay. Unless it was crouching down.
Horses don't sit down.
Yes, they do.
Not how horses work.
You don't go boop, boop, and it stands up or sits down when you want to get on it.
Anyway, jumps onto his horse.
And then he...
flies into the night.
He flees Washington, D.C. I'm not sure how true this is. Apparently all of the roads out of D.C. were closed, except for the one that he took.
Right.
Was lucky.
I also saw a different account of it where the road that he went to take out was closed, but he knew the password to get out because some general had come to them. They didn't normally have a password system, but some general had come to them earlier in the day and said, oh, by the way, if anyone comes through using this password, let them through, even though you normally wouldn't let anyone through.
Right.
But then that's what one person who was working on the bridge that night says happened.
Right.
And one other guy's like, nah, he just looked fine. We weren't that strict about the bridge thing. If you want to get out of DC, can't blame you.
Yeah.
Like, minor threat isn't going to be around for another 120 years. Like, the whole DC hardcore scene's a long way off. There's nothing here.
I drifted away to read my notes just then. Came back. Cam's talking about minor threat. How do we get here? DC hardcore, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think the password would have been for the bridge? Boobs?
It was
big boobs.
It was TB Road.
Boobs with a Z.
What? Why was it TB Road? Tuberculosis?
Well, nobody knows.
Huh. I guess it's all right.
So he escapes Washington, D.C., and then he goes on the run. I think he was heading for Mexico.
Yep.
He goes to the house of, was it Mary Surratt?
Mm-hmm.
Where he gets his leg tended to by Dr. Samuel Mudd, from whom I did see things saying this is where the expression his name is Mudd comes from.
Really?
But I think surely that could just come from
Mud being
water, right?
Yeah. Like, no one is pro mud unless you're like an 8-year-old making a mud pie.
Or a pig.
Or a pig, yeah.
Yeah, I guess maybe, though.
Or a golem.
Oh, yeah.
I think, though, yeah, maybe it comes from that. Like, no one... Mud maybe had more positive connotations back in the day. You make things out of it, make a little mud pie. It's fun.
His name is Mud. Yeah, my house is made out of mud.
Yeah, it's good. Strong. Reliable.
Now it's like, oh, his name is Mud, like that bloody traitor Mud bloke.
Yeah. But then wouldn't it be his name is Booth? Like, why is Mud... You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to coin a phrase in this whole scenario of someone with a bad name, you'd make it the guy that actually did the shooting.
Also, the bloke's a doctor. What kind of doctor is he if someone rocks up with a broken leg and he goes, sorry, mate, I know you just off the president. I'm not here. I'm not fixing you.
Hippocratic oath.
Bloke signed
Thank
an
you
oath.
very much. Yeah. Was that even around then? It would have been, eh?
Surely.
Yes, the Hippocratic Oath.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I mean, I know that it predates, like...
Hails from ancient times.
Yeah, but like when did it become a thing that people had to sign?
Yeah, let's not trash the bloke's character just because he did his job and followed the oath he signed when he became a doctor.
Wasn't. Cam was.
Yeah.
Jeez,
Cam.
So Mary Surratt, her house was a boarding house where they used to meet. So I guess we'll probably talk about this a bit later, but there was a group of people that were all together with Booth, and they were conspiring together.
Yeah. It was an actual conspiracy.
First conspiracy of the day. Yeah.
So then he fled. He flees. He's heading to Mexico, but he ends up getting caught in a barn. So at the same time that Lincoln was being assassinated, there was supposed to be 2 other assassinations happening. The Secretary of State, William Seward, was supposed to be killed by Lewis Powell and David Herold. And a guy called George Atzerodt was supposed to be killing the Vice President, Andrew Johnson.
Ooh.
The attack on Seward failed. They wounded him, but they didn't manage to pull it off, even though there was 2 of them. And
Also,
one guy managed to kill one dude.
So the Seward one was weird because he was in bed because he'd been in a carriage accident.
Right.
So like the bloke for some reason gets led into the house and then maybe has a scuffle and then tries to get him. But you can't kill someone in bed. You've done a pretty bad job.
Yeah. Someone in bed who's in bed recuperating from injuries.
Yeah. But later on, 2 weeks later, his wife died. And they reckon it's because like they'd had quite a bad accident, and then the shock of her husband being attacked in bed, she died.
Right.
Meanwhile, George Atzerodt didn't even try. He lost his bottle in one sense, but found a bottle in another. He went out and just got pissed.
Probably the right move,
yeah,
to be honest.
Yeah. Maybe. Well, we ended up with the famously drunk Vice President Andrew Johnson becoming president. He loved to tipple.
Turns out they're peas in a pod.
Apparently the Lincolns were really mad at him because it was the inauguration of his second term that had just been a few weeks earlier, I think. Johnson was like visibly sloshed. Don't you wish we could go back to those days?
Do you know who else was at the inauguration sitting nearby? Only John Wilkes Booth.
Yeah.
Big enough celebrity to get
a ticket.
Yeah. And he said this is where he sort of came up with the plan. But his initial plan was to kidnap him.
Right.
But he said after the fact, he said it was an excellent chance to kill the president if I had wished. And then that hatched a little seed in his mind. And he hatched a plan to kidnap him, but for some reason he was kidnapping while he was going to the theatre.
Well, because they were going to kidnap him because the Union had stopped prisoner exchanges with the Confederates. And so the idea was that which all of these guys had cooked up together, was they were going to kidnap Lincoln and then hold him for ransom to either get the prisoner exchanges back on, or maybe, if Lincoln was that good a prize, maybe even win the bloody war.
Yeah.
Which was probably a little over-ambitious. But they could have maybe swapped Lincoln for a bunch of Confederate POWs.
Yeah.
They tried to kidnap him, but he changed his plans from the route he was going to take. How did they know what route he was going to take? Interesting question. But he changed his plans anyway, and it failed. And that's when they were like, oh, well, why don't we just murk him?
Well, I think because by the time they murked him, everything was settled anyway, so it wouldn't have helped the war.
No, yeah, the war was sort of wrapping up at that point. They lost some really key battles.
So yeah, two more attempts happening. So it wasn't just in history it's John Wilkes Booth, but there's a whole squad involved.
Do they all have triple banger names?
No, I think he was the only one. Yeah, all right. Where's the conspiracy here then?
Well, there were
other than the obvious conspiracy to kill the president.
Well, there were conspiracies about who was really behind it from basically the beginning. I never really knew this. I always thought, if someone does it, it's not like JFK where they did it from a window and it's like no one actually saw them do it. He did it in front of people in the box. He jumped from the box onto a stage,
breaking his leg,
making
a spectacle of himself.
So I always thought, oh, well, that's that one wrapped up. Apparently, even from the beginning, though, there was conspiracies about whether there was perhaps even a larger group behind this little group. So was it a larger Confederate conspiracy rather than just these pro-Confederate people doing it on their own? Maybe. Was the group the Know Nothings? Where do they come into this? Did you read about them? So I think they were a Confederate group, but quite religious, and they were the Know Nothings because if anyone asks, you know nothing.
Right.
And
the Schultzes.
Yeah, John Wilkes Booth was one of the Know Nothings, and Abraham Lincoln had said, "As a nation, we began by declaring that all men are created equal. We now practically read it: all men are created equal except Negroes. When the Know Nothings get control, it will read: all men are created equal except Negroes and foreigners and Catholics." Quite often Lincoln's taken out of context and quoted as just saying the horrible bit attributed to him, not that he's... So yeah. There were a bunch of Catholics involved in the plot though. So there was a suggestion that it was a Catholic plot. I think even Mary Surratt's son fled the country and turned up at the Vatican. Yeah. Right. And so one of the conspiracy theories about who was the larger group behind it, so people say the Confederates. I think one of the big Confederate guys was Jewish and had some sort of connection to the Rothschilds. Right. So there's a suggestion that either the Rothschilds or, the grander Jewish conspiracy was behind it. For what reason? It's not known. Maybe the Rothschilds were playing both sides of the war for maximum profit, as they do. That is classic Rothschild. Yeah. Not sure why the Pope was sticking his mitre in, but those were a few suggestions, either the Jews or the Catholics. And that was at the time, people were one of the newspapers, there was a lot of newspapers were next day, Lincoln assassinated, very sad day for the nation in mourning. There was a few newspapers that were Lincoln assassinated. Oh yeah, this is pretty good. We didn't like him much, and one of them printed stuff that was not accurate about the other people being killed. Oh, that's right. It was Lincoln and Johnson were announced dead by one of the papers. Yeah, it's well, all right, fair enough. In this 24-hour 1865 news cycle, you don't always get the facts right. It's what if you were just going to be first to print because you had been worded up? You knew what the news was going to be. I don't know. If you're doing a grand presidential assassination conspiracy, you have to just keep it under your lid and rely on the media to get it right later on. Yeah, you don't tell a newspaper. Press release.
Because that's sus as well, because even if it was the president and Jackson had been... Was it Jackson? Andrew Jackson?
Andrew Johnson.
Andrew Jackson was the other one. If you had heard news that the president and Johnson had been attacked and you didn't know their fate at the time because the next bloody news pigeon doesn't arrive for 2 days, you might print that. But didn't the guy who was going to kill Johnson just go get drunk instead? Yeah. So there was no follow-up news to come out of it. Yeah. Nothing happened.
So he wouldn't have even been mentioned because
nothing happened.
That reminds me of the 9/11 where the BBC journalist says the tower's fallen and the tower hadn't fallen. Right. They knew. It's again, you wouldn't tell a journalist.
Yeah.
That's the last person you'd tell. You'd tell a priest in the little booth.
Yeah.
Tell your doctor. Tell the Pope. You could tell the Pope in a booth.
Yeah. Oh, John Wilkes.
Oh. So there was also a suggestion that perhaps Johnson had something to do with it. A little coup d'etat to take power. Apparently Mary Lincoln was a bit sus on Johnson and whether he had anything to do with it. But Well, so there was a book that came out in 1907 called Escape and Suicide of John Wilkes Booth. And this claims that Booth had assumed a new identity.
Yeah.
And the guy that actually got killed was John St. Helen.
Yeah.
And then Booth
lived his life as John St. Helen. And in the book, that's where it gets first alleged.
That Johnson was behind it.
Yeah, so the person that I think was claiming to be him said, like, he used to tell the author of this book all the secrets. And he's like...
There was an investigation into the whole thing. One of the founders of Theosophy was one of the investigators.
What is Theosophy again?
That's like a sort of religious thing. It's lots of secret societies and things involved. We might have to do a full episode on it at some point. But I thought that was a little magical connection.
Yeah.
There. I had another magical connection, actually. This is my own personal theory. Apparently Houdini was a huge Lincoln stan as well. But one of the reasons he was a huge Lincoln stan is because Lincoln was a bit of a magic fan. And there'd been some random guy in the Union Army had shown prowess for getting out of knots, getting out of being tied up. And it had got him back to Lincoln somehow.
Yeah.
And so this random guy in the army was called in to see Lincoln and like a bunch of high-ranking generals. And they're like, we've heard you're really good at getting untied from things. It's like, oh, yeah, I'm all right.
Yeah.
And they tied him up and he said, just pop out of the room for a minute and then come back in. They popped out, they came back in, he was all untied.
Right.
It was just he'd like learnt some magic tricks to amuse his fellow soldiers.
Okay.
But Lincoln had given him had like promoted him to like some sort of scout thing, gave him his little presidential letter, and sent him off on his way, go do army things.
Yeah,
he'd gotten caught with a bunch of other soldiers and by the Confederates, and they were due to be hanged the night before. They were tied to trees. Big mistake, guys.
Yeah. Do you know who you're dealing with?
Yeah, don't tie this bloke to a tree. He escaped with all of the other guys and got away.
Yeah.
I think most of them died, but he lived. But the bloody Confederates took his letter from Lincoln, which was his like pride and joy. So one day he thought, I'm going to go get my letter back. Went up to the White House, said, oh, can I see the president? I want a new letter. They said, oh, sorry, he's just popped out. Go see a little play.
Oh, what was the play?
My American Cousin. Whatever it's called.
Yeah.
So he went to the theatre to go get it. Too late.
Oh. He never got his letter back. So what do you think? Do you think he was involved?
I think he was involved in spiriting Lincoln out of the theatre using magic, using his magic trick skills.
What do you mean spiriting him out of the theatre?
Just doing some sort of trick to get the body out of there.
Oh.
Getting the real Lincoln out.
Put a cloth over it.
Yeah, right.
It's gone.
But he died anyway. It didn't help.
Well, this is the thing. I was reading about Lincoln. So he was really sick when he died. I read a thing where it was talking about how he'd aged significantly more than he should have. But that's just all presidents, right?
Yeah. Look at Obama.
That's the thing. Yeah. He was fighting a bloody war on home soil.
Yeah. But apparently people think that he had some sort of cancer. So what if, knowing that he was going to be dead soon anyway, they were like, what if we fake his assassination so that we get all of the, the brownie points from the public, all that martyrdom, rather than him just popping his clogs in a few weeks anyway. Let's get this magician in, who we know is good with ropes, which there are a lot of in a theatre situation. I don't know.
I like how you've come up with this theory that doesn't actually...
I was reading a lot of Miles Mathis, the PDF guy.
Okay.
The guy that thinks PDFs are longer than books.
Yeah.
He doesn't think the assassination happened at all.
Okay.
His thing is, as I read in the American Chronicle, Miles Mathis's MO is to find any points where you have to suspend your disbelief. And if there are enough of them, then it's clear evidence that the event didn't happen at all.
Right.
So Miles Mathis's, the American Chronicle, of course, disagrees. They know that someone was assassinated there.
Yeah.
It just wasn't Lincoln. Miles Mathis points out that it's ridiculous that he could sneak past all of these people with a big stick and a gun and a knife. How could you jump from that height and only break one leg.
That seems about right to me.
Why would anyone?
I can see that.
Why would anyone take the time to make a grand pronouncement to the audience?
Because he was an actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're going to kill the president, you're going to say something. Eat a dick,
Yeah.
Lincoln.
Suck on this.
Yeah.
Where was Lincoln's security? Which is a good question.
Mm.
So Lincoln did have a security guard. The Secret Service had only been formed that day.
Really?
Yeah.
Convenient. That's a really poor track record.
Yeah.
First day. Oh man,
damn it.
Yeah.
We are not good at this.
If you were there, you'd be like, well, he signed the papers today, but he obviously meant for us to start tomorrow.
Yeah, hadn't gone all through the proper channels just yet.
Well, their brief at the time, though, was only to investigate money, counterfeiting of money. They didn't have the bit about saving the president by jumping in front of a bullet.
Yeah. They wouldn't have had those little walkie-talkies in their sleeves yet either.
No, definitely not.
No.
They would have had just regular walkie-talkies.
Yeah. Those big old ones.
Yeah.
Long antennas.
So he did have one security guard who was just not there.
Right.
When it happened. There's it's a bunch of paintings of the assassination, and it's got the empty seat there. It's all right, you don't have to paint that in. He was a bit of a drinker himself, so it's probable that he was just next door at the pub or something.
Yeah.
It's no one's going to knock off the president at a play.
Yeah. At a funny play.
Yeah. He was charged with neglect of duty.
Right.
And then the charges were dismissed. Dun, dun, dun. After the shot, apparently 200 Union soldiers burst into the theatre to take control of the situation or to cause organised chaos.
Mm.
And why were 200 ready to burst in unless they had some foreknowledge?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Do we know if that was true?
Apparently, that was according to some lectures that Walt Whitman gave in the following years in his retelling. Well, Whitman wasn't there, though.
Yeah.
Who knows?
It's just like bloody Burke Street.
Yeah.
You see all the cops there.
Mm.
Why didn't they do anything?
Yeah. No, it's true. You'll never see footage of John Wilkes Booth jumping off the
balcony.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I did read Miles Mathis's thing where he suggests that no one was killed at all.
Mm.
I did not. I found it at times appealing and at times not very compelling.
Right.
But because I found that, also he does note that you have to understand Sandy Hook before you could even begin to understand Lincoln.
So, wait a minute. So no one in history understood what happened with the Lincoln thing.
They didn't understand what really happened with
until Sandy Hook happened, and then everyone, oh.
Well, once you understand what really happened with Sandy Hook, you can understand what really happened with Lincoln.
Yeah.
Like the Ford's Theatre was closed for years before that play was on.
Yeah.
Then suddenly it was open again and Lincoln got shot at it.
The Ford's Theatre was closed down afterwards. And they passed a law saying it couldn't be used for any public amusement. It's who was thinking after that happened, oh yeah, let's put on an even funnier play next time.
Is it still there?
It is still there.
I think it got torn down and rebuilt.
It was used by the army for a little while as a building. And then...
It's good use for a building.
Yeah.
It did fall into disrepair. At one point, I think the facade out the front fell down and killed a whole bunch of people.
Right.
Some people say the curse of Abraham Lincoln.
Lincoln's curse.
Famously loved just murdering random people.
Yeah. Maybe they were racists.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, they did...
Group of white supremacists walking down the street.
They did restore it. They made some changes. For example, they moved the presidential box. They moved the stage so it was higher. Mathis notes that's so that no one realises how crazy it is that he jumped from that high.
Or just in case anyone does jump off, we don't want them to hurt themselves. Public liability.
Yeah, they're a whole bunch of bloody tourists are going to come through here and be like, I'm going to do the bloody booth. Do a boothy. Jump to the stage.
GWB!
Mathis notes, though, that reconstruction is just like Sandy Hook and is just like 9/11. They destroy the crime scene. Remember when the crime scene at 9/11 was destroyed?
Yeah. But they destroyed it years after the fact as well.
But what crime scene was it? Like they cleaned it up.
No, I mean the theater. They didn't destroy it like immediately.
No, there was plenty of time for an intrepid investigator to get in and find all the facts. But because I read this Miles Mathis thing, I did find this other blog post on this website called The American Chronicle. It's by a guy called Tony Bonn. And I thought when I read this that they were ripping into Miles Mathis. We'll just say that this person is even more anti-Semitic than Miles Mathis.
Okay.
We're speaking of Miles Mathis, a true Renaissance man whose interests stretch from art to physics, mathematics, science, history, poetry, and most likely much more. Interests which some may see as mutually exclusive, unless, of course, one is speaking of a bona fide polymath.
Whoa.
It's all the more remarkable that we would endorse Mathis's writings because it is not our habit to champion Jews, whom we regard as the source of many of the great ills in the Western world.
You just don't need to bring out a hard J in this situation. Just fine.
Oh, you should. The J's only get harder, mate.
Right.
Mathis describes himself either as Jew or half Jew, the latter of which might be akin to being half pregnant. However, in his defense, Mathis is very objective in assigning responsibility where it is due, that's with a D, and holds no prejudicial animus towards Jews. One example where Mathis has shown originality is in the computation of pi, which anyone with grade school mathematics education would tell you is 3.14 ad infinitum, world without end. However, in the case of our mathematician, we learned that it is 4 when dealing with a circle in motion. He only cracked bloody pi, didn't he, Mathis?
Jeez. Wait, so pi is that true? No.
No.
Of course it's not true.
Remember Miles Mathis is crazy.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
He provides the proof which should turn the world of mathematics upside down, but for some reason is being suppressed. We can't imagine why. Brackets, wink, wink. Now, I thought they were taking the piss out of Miles Mathis with that. What I discovered is that they're not.
Okay.
They're like, oh, this guy bloody cracked pi. What else has he cracked?
Yeah.
Anyway,
even if he is a hard J.
Yeah. And it's not like we need the world of mathematics to prove that. Surely there's not like some department of maths that we need to determine whether a pi is 4.
Yeah.
Surely anyone with a bloody calculator could figure it out.
So they're saying that like the elite are trying to keep us all dumb to the secrets of the world.
Yeah.
So they like, they're fudging it so pi is never gonna twig to that.
Pi.
Yeah.
Why do we need it?
Yeah.
Why do we need it?
Circles?
Do you need it for a rocket ship, maybe?
Yeah.
Like to do a proper rocket that goes to another galaxy?
It's probably in the mix there somewhere, right?
Yeah.
You need to know how circles work.
Building something.
Yeah.
I've got to build a big thing.
Like building something proper.
Yeah. Like a house.
Yeah.
No, we can build houses. I mean, building something that really transcends current technology.
Oh,
Maybe
okay. You're
that's
saying
why-
if we twig to that, we'll be able to time travel.
Yeah, we can do some. We can do some real proper fucking circles.
So if we take my Commodore,
Yeah.
and every time that they've used pi to calculate something, they shifted all those numbers to 4 instead of 3.14.
Exactly.
I'd have a DeLorean.
Yeah. Or something we don't even know about yet.
Yeah. Jesus. The world's open to us all.
Yeah.
But
Elon Musk's probably...
Oh, he's definitely working
all
on
of
4.
his cars are working on 4.
Yeah. He's got one into space. You know that?
Yeah.
That's a 4.
With a dead body in it.
Yeah.
But they note that even though they've written previously that John Wilkes Booth murdered somebody else, they were quite surprised to learn that nobody was murdered at all.
Right.
The whole thing was faked. And I thought, oh, you must be taking the piss. And then like the next few posts are all using Miles Mathis as an academic source for other things. So you got Mathis pilled. But yeah, everyone's a spy in Mathis's thing. There's all these intelligence people.
Yeah.
There's too many coincidences. So that's about it for Lincoln assassination conspiracy theories. So we've talked about Abraham Lincoln, whether he actually was murdered or not.
Mm.
I think we can assume he was.
Mm.
But if he wasn't murdered, he's dead.
Yeah. There's another mystery in all of this, which is the death of John Wilkes Booth, and whether he really died in the barn, as they claim, or if he went on to live quite a full life.
A couple of different lives.
Mm.
Some theories that he went to Sri Lanka. Others put him in different, other major events, and he just lived a swashbuckling life, as it was described. So, yeah.
There were, in 1898, there were news reports that he'd been spotted in Brazil. One of the witnesses was J.M. Christ, a lady. In 1865, she and her husband were in Havana 6 weeks after the assassination. They were on a cruise, and John Wilkes Booth came on the boat with them.
Right.
And because he was still suffering from his broken leg, she gave up her cabin to him. And at the end of the voyage, he rewarded her by giving her his ring with JWB engraved on inside. She kept a secret for how many years is it? Between 1865 and 1898? Just a little 33 years.
Oh. I was trying to do the math.
Yeah, I had just got to the number in my head and I was like,
ooh.
There was also, there's a bunch of other sightings all around the place. The biggest sort of sighting, though, is by a guy called Finis Bates. He claims that he knew a guy called John St. John?
John St. Helen.
John St. Helen.
Yep.
He was his lawyer. And John St. Helen beckoned to him one day because he'd gotten very sick. He was on his deathbed.
Oh, if I'm ever on my deathbed, I'm going to do some beckoning.
Yeah. But make sure you're on your deathbed.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't do what John St. Helen did, which is on his deathbed, he called his lawyer, Finis Bates, to him, said, Finis, I've got to tell you something. I've been pulling a little swifty on you. My name's not really John St. Helen. A super fake name, by the way.
Yeah.
It's actually John Wilkes Booth. You might have heard of me. Pretty famous actor.
Yeah.
Some other stuff.
Yeah. If that ever comes out, I'll really need a lawyer.
And he laid out the whole story, which was basically that Andrew Johnson had arranged for him to kill the president. Then he very awkwardly didn't die.
Don't make big claims or admissions on your deathbed if you're definitely not about to die.
So I've seen a few different takes on this. One is that he went to Bates and said, just ignore all that. I was just a bit loopy from the cold medicine or whatever.
Thought I was about to die.
Yeah. I think they were cocaine was still available over the counter. So,
And Bates was like, yeah, no worries, mate. I won't say anything about it to anyone. I didn't believe you anyway.
Yeah.
I think the other thing was that the other way I saw it written was that he went to Bates and said, look, just keep that under your hat.
Yeah.
Right? We all fucking hated Lincoln, right?
Yeah.
All a bunch of white blokes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, Bates didn't keep it under his hat. He went to the authorities and said he had information about John Wilkes Booth still being alive.
Right.
And they just ignored him.
Classic, incompetent. It sounds like too much paperwork cops.
Yeah.
A few years later, a guy called David George shows up in some little town in, I think, Tennessee, where he kills himself with a bit of strychnine-laced coffee. And I think he started telling people he was John Wilkes Booth as well.
Okay.
Anyway, Finis finds this David George guy and says, oh yeah, that's John St. Helen.
Right.
AKA John Wilkes Booth.
That's the guy that told me he was John Wilkes Booth.
Yeah. And then there's a bit of back and forth with the body, but eventually Finis takes ownership of it and starts marketing it as a sideshow attraction.
So he mummifies the body.
Yeah.
For some reason, it was always noted the body was wearing khaki shorts. And that was pointed out in some one that I read. It was and that's always seemed to be mentioned. So there you go. Put some khaki shorts on, mummified him. wheeled him around the country.
Yeah. So I think he was like renting him out to different circuses and different like traveling things. Apparently, massive flop wherever it went. Like Tutankhamun, it seemed there was a curse attached to this mummified corpse of either a drifter or John Wilkes Booth.
Yeah.
As opposed to all those other famous mummified corpses that really set fire to the entertainment world at the time.
Well, I was saying to Salty before, like, is it a curse or is it just that even if it was the corpse of John Wilkes Booth, there's very little interest in that? Like when you go to the fun fair, like, let's take our chance on the old rock'em sock'em ball into the clown mouth thing.
Yep. I don't know where you got rock'em sock'em, but
well, let's try out the big. We'll do the big hammer.
Yeah.
We'll do the strength test.
Yeah.
Even though that's rigged.
We'll box with a strong man. Yeah. Did you not do well on the strength test, Cam?
I got the high score on one in a time zone.
Yeah, there you go. Did you not do well on one, Cam?
We'll do the throwing the balls in the clown's mouth, even though that's rigged as well.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll pop some balloons with little BB guns. Another rigged one.
Fighting a strong man.
For 2 minutes.
Yeah, that definitely would have been in there.
Yeah.
And I want to see someone fight a strong man.
Yeah.
I have some fairy floss. We'll see a bearded lady.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great. Oh, just before we go though, little fun memory for the family. I always see the corpse of John Wilkes Booth, the assassin of our most beloved president.
Yeah. Or potentially the body of just some bloke.
Yeah, some random drifter.
Want to see a dead body?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, huge flop. Eventually, the body disappears.
Yeah.
They don't know where it is. In the 70s, in the 1970s,
yeah,
they lose track of it. It's possibly in the hands of a private collector, or possibly it just ended up in a skip.
Yeah.
It's probably one of those things. They were like, "Oh, look, it's one of those old fake fairground attractions, like a Fiji mermaid." They did a good job of this one. Do we want it? Nah, skip it.
It's not like it's John Wilkes Booth.
Yeah. Not like it's really him.
And then someone comes in later on. Hey, you see my John Wilkes Booth lying around? Uh-oh. If it is in the hands of a private collector, I would really like to know what else is in that collection. Because if you can get your hands on that, I bet you've got your hands on some other things.
Some fucked up stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if
Varon T disruptor.
Yep, I don't know what that is, but yep.
Star Trek reference.
Okay.
I wonder if it's a collection of weird stuff or if it's a collection of Lincoln and Booth-ania. Apparently, there's a lot of collections of that.
Right.
Houdini was a big collector of Lincoln stuff, and so was Henry Ford. The Carmen, no relation to the Ford theatre family.
But also a massive racist.
I think, Henry Ford was a bit racist.
I mean, anyone in that time.
I think wasn't Henry Ford an anti-Semite as well? A bit of a
I
sneaky
think
Nazi?
that. Yeah.
But he apparently was the...
Let's check this before we slander him. Allegedly, politically.
I think it's famously.
Okay.
I think he printed copies of like the Protocols of the Elders of Zion and stuff.
Okay, let's check that out. So politically, he did.
Politically, he was a racist. But apparently, he was very fascinated with Lincoln. In the Ford collection, he has the chair that he was shot in.
Yeah, right.
Right.
And a bunch of other stuff. But he also famously, not famously, he also hired someone to spend a year investigating whether John Wilkes Booth was the really killed in the barn, or if he was this guy.
So there was another, So the way the swap happened was John Wilkes Booth's papers fell out of his pocket, and he said to this bloke, Ruddy, hang on. Yeah, a plantation overseer by the name of Ruddy. That's the only name they give him. To fetch his papers, which had fallen out of his pocket while crossing a river.
Ruddy said, hang on a second, if I've got your papers on me and I get killed, aren't people going to think that I'm you? And John Wilkes Booth said to him, no, because you've got a very red hair, and I have famously black hair. So Ruddy, don't worry about that happening.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah. So he gets shot.
The medical examiner goes in and goes, this doesn't look like John Wilkes Booth, but it's John Wilkes Booth.
Yeah.
No, the other way around. He goes, this is John Wilkes Booth. Although it doesn't look anything like John Wilkes Booth, this is undoubtedly John Wilkes Booth.
Got his papers on him.
So yeah, this guy with the papers was in the barn. Apparently the first thing that the guy that came out, the co-conspirator, when he came out, the first thing he said to him is, it's not John Wilkes Booth in there. Because they're all outside saying, John Wilkes Booth, come out with your hands up. This guy comes out with his hands up. He's like, guys.
Awkward.
This is super awkward. It's not John Wilkes Booth. 36 hours later, after having had a Hessian sack over his head for almost that entire time and probably a bit of beating, he was like, yeah, that was John Wilkes Booth.
Got you.
I beat it out of him.
I like, it's that kind of classic trope in sort of parody movies where they do a big siege of a place and someone goes out like, what are you doing here? Is the house over? Oh, sorry. Like, go over.
There was a few of the Union soldiers had known John Wilkes Booth. When they saw the body, they were like, that's not him. One thing, he's got red hair.
Yeah.
Shut up, guys, they were told.
Yeah.
I need to talk about what you've seen here today. The medical examiner, as you noted, he had treated John Wilkes Booth. He'd removed, I think, a tumour from his neck.
Right.
And he was like, yeah, no, this is not him. This dude's all freckled. Like, he's a famous, like, there's some sort of freckled ginger guy.
Yeah, right.
This is definitely not John Wilkes Booth. But in his report, it's like, yep, it's John Wilkes Booth. Just doesn't look anything like him.
Right. He'd been through a bit of an ordeal. Maybe he was...
Yeah, maybe his hair turned red from shock.
Yeah. Instead of white.
And like It.
the Crash Test Dummies song.
Oh, I always thought the movie It. In the book. What?
Sorry.
We were all going to bust into it then.
Sorry.
No, sorry.
So, the Sri Lanka one, allegedly he was spirited away by the... so he was never actually cornered at the barn in this story.
Yeah.
And then he met with some supporters and they got him out of the country to Sri Lanka, India, and the Hawaiian Islands. I think this is from Wikipedia. It says, after 4 years or so, he returned to the States. Similar stories had long circulated, painting Booth's supposedly posthumous exploits as those of a swashbuckler. A Reconstruction-era Zelig. Who's Zelig again?
I think maybe sort of like Zorro, maybe.
Who always found himself amongst the day's most interesting world shakers. In the legends, he was a romantic figure, the killer doomed to exile, yet still living an enviable adventure. Who makes him a superhero or whatever? Like a fun little, Wilkes Booth, what's he going to get up to next?
Well,
swinging from ropes.
Yeah. Way.
I think some of the people that might have been into that were his descendants. Who, I saw some interviews with some of them. I don't think they're super racist or anything. I think that they've just grown up hearing that, oh, by the way, the official story you learn in school is perhaps not quite the truth.
Right.
About your great uncle. So, with the guy that died in 1903 of strychnine poisoning, so the real John Wilkes Booth is buried in the Booth family plot at this cemetery, and there's some guy read this book that Finnis wrote. He wrote the Escape and Suicide of John Wilkes Booth. This guy read this book in the 70s and became obsessed with it, and he started trying to prove that it was true. And so he managed to convince almost all of John Wilkes Booth's descendants to get on board with digging the body up. And the Smithsonian were going to do tests to... I think that they had a way... They can take all of the photos they have of John Wilkes Booth and overlay them against the skull and see if they match.
Yeah.
And everything... Initially, the family were not on board, but eventually, when the Smithsonian got involved, I think they were like, oh, yeah. And some of them were Booth truthers. Like, they thought that he hadn't really died in the barn. So, everything was fine, except then the state government wouldn't let them dig up the body. They sued to dig up their own family member.
Right.
And they're like, apparently there's some sort of rule where you can't just dig up a body for like crazy reasons.
Bloody red tape once again.
Is that whole eminent domain thing where like the government owns the land, so once you put a body in the land, it belongs to the government?
I don't know. I guess, maybe.
Could be. I'll tell you what, I'm not going to be... Don't put my body in the ground. if that's the rules.
Yeah, you don't have your own.
Put it somewhere handy where you can
scatter me to the wind.
pull it out if you need me.
Yeah. It's on a shelf.
It's bloody wheel them around.
Yeah.
Get some circus going.
Yeah. Got my mum in a cupboard.
Yeah, okay.
Just in case.
Right.
A few years later, they came up with...
Just leave that.
A few years later, they came up with an alternative way to solve the mystery.
Yep.
Which was they had the DNA, or they could get the DNA of the brother from from his body. They could just nick a little bit out of his bones, and then not all of the official John Wilkes Booth's bones are in his grave. There's like 3 collarbones from where he was shot, which are in an army museum.
3 collarbones?
Well, like 3 bits of his collarbone.
Okay.
That maybe had a bit of a bullet break them up.
Yeah, okay. Right.
But they're in an army museum.
Okay.
And they can do they just have to destroy a tiny bit of them to get a DNA sample, which they could then compare to the brother's bones.
Yeah.
And they could see, all right, is this a familial match? The army, even though they reckon it'd be cool, wouldn't let it happen. Because we've got to save those bones for posterity. Like, they only want to break a tiny bit off.
And we already know that it's not a good draw card. Because it's like...
The whole body wasn't pulling numbers.
Yeah. It's a fucking collarbone. No one gives a shit about the
3 bits of random bone.
Yeah. Just replace it with a chicken bone for a bit.
Yeah.
No one will know.
It seems like a lot of people are not interested in knowing the truth about this.
So the FBI was investigating right up until the 70s as well. And they... I can't remember what the actual context of the article was, but basically they found nothing untoward and they basically thought it was all...
Yeah. It turned out that the federal government was correct.
We were right then, we're right now.
But they went through all of his notes and stuff, all his communications to the other conspirators, and they thought there might have been secret code in there somewhere. But they said they didn't find anything beyond his melodramatic and arrogant prose. So they gave him a bit of a backhander, yeah. Not only was he a president murderer, garbage writer as well. Arrogant.
I also saw a theory. This is like I think this might be the apex of the craziness, which was that he didn't commit suicide in 1903. He was murdered by Jesse James, who also didn't die when he was supposed to.
Yeah,
but had faked his own death and went on to live to 107.
Whoa. That's good for back then.
Yeah.
But he killed Booth because they were both part of the Knights of the Golden Circle, which was a secret society, which I think was just like a secret Confederate society. Now, Booth was actually in this.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if Jesse James was, but Booth was shooting his mouth off too much about what had really happened. And so Jesse James had to come in and clean up. Now, I just found this on this one blog post.
Right.
but it sort of started to spread amongst these other things. And it had this quote. It had a quote about the soldiers that noted that his hair was red, which was like, his hair's turned red awfully fast. I was like, but I think that quote just comes from this crazy Jesse James thing, but I saw it like put in other less crazy things.
Right.
I was like, that's interesting how fake news spreads. Anyway.
So was Jesse James not murdered straightening a picture frame?
No.
That not real as well? That movie lied to me.
Another fun little...
That's a great movie.
Another fun little tidbit. Not really a conspiracy, but John Wilkes Booth's brother was a huge fan of Abraham Lincoln. So when his brother did the murdering, he's like, oh man, I'm just going to be so hated right now and I'm so in anguish. And basically became an alcoholic. Then a few years later, I can't remember how long, he saved the life of Abraham Lincoln's son.
Right.
Coincidentally, I think his son slipped off like a train platform or something and he rescued him. And then later on, didn't know who it was. Later on, someone overheard the son saying, I was rescued by bloody Edward Booth, the famous actor that's now a famous drunk. Like, whoa. And so that got back to Edwin Booth, and he then felt so absolved of all the guilt because he'd saved the life turned his life around and got into acting again.
Nice. Actually, just before we wrap up, speaking of fake news, I did mention this before, but Henry Ford. So Henry Ford spent a year, or he didn't spend a year doing it himself. He hired someone to spend a year looking into it.
Do you think the guy like sussed it out after a week and he's like, oof, this guy's got a bit of money, I'm gonna drag this one out?
Well, he spent a year on it, and then I guess Henry Ford lost interest because he's like, "Oh, you can go do something else." And he's like, "What am I supposed to do with everything I found out?" He's like, "Just put it in a book or something." So he wrote an article about it.
Right.
But the reason he spent a year, he got someone to spend a year investigating it, is because he had been quoted at some point saying history is bunk. He'd made some comment about history being bunk. I think it was part of a larger quote. But in some newspaper, like, ripped into him over something he'd said and, like, made a bunch of claims about him that he felt were defamatory. So he sued them. And in the trial, they were like, so what's all this about history being bunk then? And he tried to, like, elaborate on it, and everyone just took the piss out of him. So what he wanted to do was to set out to prove that history was bunk. And so he's like, if I can prove that John Wilkes Booth didn't really die in the barn, then everyone will have to agree that I'm actually smart.
Pick an easier target. Pick the Bible or something.
It was a bit of a weird one, but that's why.
Yeah, right.
It was the original sort of crazy fake news. It's like, Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Like becoming president just because people took the piss out of him.
Yeah.
It was Henry Ford's version of that.
Righty. Well, it's 2 weeks of Abraham Lincoln.
So I think we've conclusively proven that he was not assassinated and he was black.
Yeah.
Later grew up to be Barack Obama.
Where can people find you on the internet, Robbo?
You can find me at Ale of a Time. aleofatime.com is my website. Keg Bottle Can is my book in bookshops. Makes a great gift.
Not in secondhand bookshops, though.
No, we checked. There are other beer books in secondhand bookshops. Mine is too good to give up.
If you see it in a secondhand bookshop, just get it, because Robbo might go into the same bookshop and it'll break his little heart.
No, I'll be okay. Someone's already, because they've already paid their money. Don't buy it. Burn it. So if anyone does want it, they have to pay full price.
Right. Steal it from the op shop that's raising money for disadvantaged people.
Yep.
And burn it.
Yep. That is a good move.
Sweet.
Salty.
You can get me at Saltmarsh on Instagram, where I'm posting shitloads of art at the moment. And Andrew Saltmarsh Illustration on Facebook, where I'm posting less art, but still some art. Check out Tohara on Patreon.
And you can find me at Sexnama on Twitter. Gather around me on Facebook and iTunes for my other podcasts. And of course, you can find us as a unit, a cooked one, twitter.com/hypothepod. We're on Facebook, where you can leave us a heart react. Are we on Instagram now?
We are on Instagram now. We have 0 posts, but we're there. So chuck us a sneaky follow.
Instagram.com/hypothepod.
I guess so.
And
you just set it up.
Well, that's what it is, but I don't think that's I think it's /users/
No, I think it is just.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
it
there you
would
go.
be madness if they did it.
Yeah, well, there you go.
You're a big company, Instagram.
Yeah.
They can just manipulate URLs.
Don't look at us on a browser. Just open your Instagram app and look us up. No one just browses Instagram on their web browser, do they?
I do.
When you're creeping.
When you're creeping on people, you don't want to accidentally double tap on a girl's picture.
And you can also find us on things like Spotify and iTunes. Leave us a review. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Grab some merch at cookedunits.com.
Yeah.
All right, that's it.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Don't worry about a thing, except if all our world leaders are alien reptilians. I said don't worry about a thing, except maybe the fluoride in our water supply contains mind-altering drugs. Don't worry about a thing, except whether or not Port Arthur was a false flag operation in which to disarm Australia. I said don't worry about Except you can definitely hear John Lennon say, I buried Paul at the end of Strawberry Fields forever. Ooh, don't worry about a thing. Except not only did Bush do 9/11, but he also keeps the planes out in Area 51, which, let's not forget where all of the aliens are. Don't worry about a thing. Except Donald Trump is clearly a woman, and you're just blind if you can't see.